He was stranded alone on an island for 4 years. When a ship finally came to rescue him, he refused to leave. The man who inspired Robinson Crusoe had to be dragged back to civilization by force, and once he got there, he spent the rest of his life trying to go back. This is the true story behind the most famous castaway in history, and the real version is stranger than the fiction. You are standing on a dock in England in 1703. You are 27 years old, Scottish by birth, and you have just changed your name to avoid your family. You were born Alexander Selkirk. You are now Alexander Selkirk. You have just met a privateer captain named William Dampier, who is preparing an expedition to attack Spanish ships along the coast of South America. You sign up. 8 months later, the expedition rounds Cape Horn and stops to resupply at a remote island in the Pacific Ocean, about 500 miles off the coast of Chile. The island is called Tierra. It has mountains, fresh water, goats, and no people. The fleet stays 2 days. You love it. You file that memory away and sail on. Months pass. Something starts happening to you at night. You begin having dreams, the same dream, over and over. In the dream, your ship sinks. Every night, the same ship, the same sinking. You are a sailor in the age before psychology. You believe the dreams mean something. You decide to act on them. When the fleet passes near Tierra again, you tell the captain you want off the ship. You will wait on the island. You will take your chances there, rather than continue on a vessel you believe is going to sink. The captain does not argue. He is, frankly, glad to be rid of you. You have been difficult on this voyage. He agrees immediately. A small boat rows you to shore. You step out onto the beach with a knife, a musket, a Bible, some tools, and your bedding. The small boat turns around and rows back to the ship, and then you watch the ship sail away, and it hits you. What have you done? You run into the water. You shout. You beg them to come back. You have made a terrible mistake. You want to return. You will not cause any more trouble. Please, come back. The captain hears you from the deck. He keeps sailing. You stand on the beach of Tierra and watch the ship disappear over the horizon. You are alone. 500 miles from the nearest continent. No other human being on this island. No way to contact anyone. No way to leave. It is October 1704. You will be here for the next 4 years and 4 months. For the first 18 months, you do not leave the beach. You cannot bring yourself to move inland. You tell yourself it is tactical. Staying on the beach means you can see passing ships sooner, but the real reason is simpler. You cannot accept that you are here. Every morning you wake up and scan the horizon. Every day the horizon is empty. Every night you go to sleep and wait for the morning to try again. The ships that do pass are Spanish. The Spanish own these waters. If they find a British privateer on this island, they will not rescue you. They will either kill you or imprison you. So you watch them pass and say nothing and pray they do not notice your fire. After 18 months, you do something that will save your life. You stop waiting. You move inland. You find a cave in the mountains. You make it a home. You hunt the island's wild goats with your musket, and then, when the ammunition runs out, you learn to hunt them with your bare hands. The goats are fast, but you are faster. You run them down on the mountain terrain until your legs are stronger than anything they have encountered. You can outrun a goat on rocky ground in bare feet. This takes years to learn, and it is the most useful thing you have ever done. You sew clothing from goat skin. You learn to make fire by rubbing sticks together. You catch lobsters on the beach and cook them over open flames. You build 2 shelters, one for sleeping, one for cooking. You domesticate cats and goats for company. You read your Bible aloud to them, so your voice does not forget how to form words. You build a lookout point at the top of the highest peak on the island. Every morning you climb it and scan the horizon in every direction. The island, which you once wanted to escape, has become something else entirely. It has become yours. You know every trail, every cave, every water source. You know which goats are friendly and which will charge. You know where the lobsters gather at dawn. You know the sound the wind makes when a storm is 3 hours away. You know this place the way you have never known any place in your life. And then, one morning in February 1709, 2 ships appear on the horizon. English ships. You light the largest fire you can make. You wave. You shout. From the ships, the crew sees smoke and assumes it is a Spanish lookout warning them of approach. They almost fire on the island. They hold back because they are not sure. They decide to send a small boat to investigate at dawn. When the boat reaches the beach, the crew finds a man covered in goatskin, with a beard that has grown for 4 years, who comes running out of the jungle making sounds that are not quite words. It takes you several minutes to remember how to speak. The captain of one of those ships is William Dampier, the same man who hired you in 1703. He recognizes you. He brings you aboard. The crew tells you what happened to your ship, the one you abandoned in 1704. It sank, exactly as you dreamed it would. The ship went down shortly after leaving you on the island, and most of the crew was lost. You were right. The island saved your life. You are made captain of a captured Spanish vessel. Off the coast of Mexico, your crew takes a Spanish galleon loaded with gold, silver, and valuables. You return to England in October 1711, 7 years after you stepped onto that beach, as a wealthy man. Your story spreads through the ports and taverns immediately. A Scottish sailor who spent 4 years alone on a Pacific island. People want to hear it. One of the people who hears it is a journalist named Daniel Defoe. He takes notes, but that comes later. First, you go home. You return to Scotland, to the town where you were born, to the family you left. And something happens that you did not expect and cannot explain. You cannot live there. The house is wrong. The town is wrong. The noise, the people, the obligations, the smallness of civilized life. All of it feels like a cage compared to what you had on the island. You had been master of an entire world. You had known exactly what you needed to do every day to survive. Every problem had a solution you could find with your own hands. Every morning had a purpose. Here, in Scotland, in a house, in a town, you are nobody. You are curiosity, a story people tell. You start sleeping outside. On nights when it gets bad enough, you leave your bed, put on your old goatskin clothing that you kept as a reminder, and go into the hills above the town to sleep under the open sky. Your family thinks you are losing your mind. You are not losing your mind. You are missing your island. You endure this for 9 years. 9 years of civilization chafing against someone who learned to be something else entirely in a cave on a Pacific island. In 1720, you give up trying to be who you were before. You enlist in the Royal Navy. Your stated goal, the one you write down in letters and tell people directly, is to get back to the Pacific, to find a way back to Tierra. You never make it. In 1721, you are assigned to a voyage along the coast of Africa. Somewhere off the African coast, you contract a tropical fever. You die aboard the ship. You are 45 years old. You never saw your island again. And here is the detail that closes the story. You died in 1721 without knowing that, months earlier, Daniel Defoe had published a novel based on your life. He changed the location from the Pacific to the Caribbean. He gave the castaway a companion, a native man called Friday, because he thought the isolation was too extreme otherwise. He changed the name. He called the book Robinson Crusoe. It became one of the best-selling novels in history. It has been in print continuously since 1719. It has been translated into more languages than almost any other book ever written. There are people alive today whose first understanding of survival, of solitude, of what a human being can endure alone, came from that book. And the man it was based on died not knowing any of that. He died on a ship off Africa, trying to find his way back to a small Pacific island that nobody else had ever heard of. He died as Alexander Selkirk. He became famous as Robinson Crusoe. The island is different now. Chile renamed it. Today it is officially called Robinson Crusoe Island, after the fictional character who was based on the man who actually lived there. You could visit it. There are a few hundred people living there now. Somewhere on that island, if you climb to the highest peak, you can still see the lookout point that Selkirk built. The place where he stood every morning for 4 years and scanned the horizon for ships. He found the ships. The ships took him home. And home was the thing that destroyed him. Now I want to hear from you. If you had been on that island for 4 years, if going back to civilization meant going back to a world that felt smaller than the one you had built alone, what would you have done? Would you have gotten on the ship, or would you have stayed? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. If this is the kind of story you came here for, subscribe. Every story on this channel is true. Every one of them ended in a way nobody expected. The next one is already waiting.